If you've been wondering how to maybe get some little icons like what you're seeing below right here, and a very simple way to make them show up, or to make your footage look something like this is very easy and completely free. This is all stock footage, stock icons, and I might not so much be using a free video software to do it with, but I'm using a very cheap one. I did use a free one. It was very slow. So you kind of get what you pay for or don't pay for, right? Hello everybody, this is Citrus Flavor. Some of your video things or video softwares that you will have will come with their own little pre-stocked backgrounds that have things like blue screens. A lot of times what I run into when I use these things is their gradient. And if you're trying to do the tricks that I'm going to show you, which is just chroma keying your blue screens and putting your images on a blue screen or a green screen or red screen, depending on what color your image is, it usually works out pretty good. Just don't have a gradient. What I've had to do is go into things like Paint or whatever other photo editor that you want to use. Yes, I said Paint. And just make some squares to load in yourself. Get yourself a little preset of your own stock things that you would use. This editor is pretty basic. It doesn't have nothing advanced in it. This has a whole list of just some icons here that I messed with. We'll take a YouTube, we'll take Twitch, and we'll take Facebook. If you want, go ahead and add Discord to it too. That'll work. And it's gonna lay them next to you. You're going to be layering these things on top of each other. What you'll want to do is move these around. You're going to want to stack them all on top of each other. You want them all to appear and disappear roughly the same time on top of your green screen. What I like to do is take my green screen and add just a tiny bit in front of it, just to ensure that if there's a little bit of a stutter, it'll try to not stutter my icon so much and just stutter a quick little green flash and chroma in. You're gonna want to, in this one, you have to edit a layer. Edit it as a layer so that you can change its size. We are going to change its size, and since we want these to go up and down, we're going to place them right dead in the middle so that we have full control of where at up and down and the fade. We don't want it to fall off the screen or nothing. If you want to add some fancy colors to these things, this is kind of its bare template. You can go ahead and just go into anything that has color adjustments, and you can change your colors from there. You don't need nothing fancy. You can do whatever you want, however you want, as long as it'll show it. There it goes. It's getting kind of hard to see. But the YouTube icon is now blue. Not its white that it was. Now I gave it a little pink hue. Keep bringing this over here. I think it's right about in here. And you can mess with your saturations and whatever you want. After you have your images laid on over a green screen, what you're going to look for is something called pan and zoom. or a zoom effect, or maybe a pan effect where it will slide your camera across the image instead of just viewing the entire image itself. The image that you're going to want to be viewing will obviously be your little social icons here. You're going to add a pan and zoom effect. You can find that in the tools by right clicking, going to tools, seeing it right here. The other thing you're going to want to add is, since we're adding these effects to it, it's really hard to add effects into very, very short clips. They tend to get choppy. The effects will appear, but they're so fast that your eyes just don't really like what it's seeing. We're going to bump these way up here to 10-second effects. Now remember, this is going to be a video. You can loop this video, or you can set this video to be under a hotkey, and it will only appear when you press the hotkey or on your Stream Deck or whatever. And this is just an added effect you could have on your screen. After you've extended your videos a bit, and I'll show you why after we have our clipped footage, or after we have our panned footage, we're going to add the effect. Now we're down here on the Facebook icon. We need to make sure we click on the very beginning keyframe. That first keyframe is what we're going to use to set our size, so that we're not chopping off the top of our icon. It can tend to have a clipped look. We don't want that clipped off look. We are then, after that, going to come to our second keyframe, and we're going to want to change the size of that by editing it also. We will use our first keyframe's outline to match those sizes up, and it will snap itself together. But you have to come back to the first keyframe to change where it actually starts out at. Now this first keyframe, we want it to start out up at the top. This next keyframe, we want it to stay right where it is, so that it's centered on the image. What happens when you do that is it gives that sliding up effect. Like it came up out of nowhere, right? That's what we're looking for. We're going to use that to try to add a bunch of depth to our videos and behind our screens. We need to make sure we get to the end over here, to our last little bit of our clip. We're going to add another effect into it. If I did this right, then what I'm going to have here is a nice sliding up effect. So that just slides right up. That should slide right down all the same right when it gets towards the end of the image, or the end of the video file. And that would be it. This one, right there. After you've added these, you will definitely do a review. That's what we're looking for. And then they should all slide down. There we go. We like that. Once we have had our little build here, we want to add more effects to this. We don't want this to just stay like this. We're going to make them flash. So what we'll do is we're going to splice it in all kinds of spots. And we don't want it to be spliced in all the same spots. That won't look as good. We're gonna have these things have a staggered effect. So they do something different at a different time. What we're gonna do first off is we're gonna take all of these beginning clips and we're gonna mess with its video options. All we're looking for is a fade out on all the beginning clips. You're gonna add a 1/2 second fade. This program does not work in anything smaller than a 1/2 second. So that's what that's what it'll just be at. It doesn't mess with your frames, but the math might not be correct when you try to add things up. On the last one, you only want it to fade in. You do not want it to fade out, otherwise it will disappear before it actually slides away, and you can lose an effect that we're looking for. Almost done here. You guys are gonna like the effect this can give off. And then preview it. Hey, that looks kind of pretty. I like that. It's very minimal, and that's what we're looking for. For you guys, I have these shaking logos here. Here's my little basic quick one I threw on. I guess they're not shaking, but they're flashing. We can go ahead and remove them. We know the ones we're looking for are called flashing logos. We'll just load that straight up into here, but you can see it on its own, starting raw. When you would put this on here, you would do your media source. You're gonna obviously want to add a name to it when you do that. It's up to you if you want it to loop. I recommend starting it off looped, so that when you go to move it around and resize it and get it to where you want it to be at, it's really hard trying to just restart the image over and over again. Ooh, look for my little image here. Here we go. Some flashy logos. A lot of stuff I do doesn't show right up, but here we go. Here they are. I've also learned that if you're playing with groups and things like that, you gotta be careful sometimes. See how this looks here. We'll crop this image first. I like to hold Alt. We're gonna shrink this down to about to the top of these. Pull this up. Watch where these slide out at. They slide out about there, which is fine. I'm gonna shrink more of this because if this doesn't load up or there's a bugginess, that green will appear for a split second until the chroma key kicks in to make it all disappear. If you don't have that taken care of and you have something across your whole screen, what happens is your whole screen will flash green, and it's very off-putting. After you've added this here, you will go into where you have it. You're going to add your filter. You're going to add your chroma key or your color key, whatever you want to do. And I usually use chroma key. I haven't had this effect. I think that's just because it's a color key. I've always done chroma key, and it looks just that much prettier. I come right to where that green wants to just start popping in. and get yourself it blended in there nicely. If you've messed with any chroma keys, you'll know that sometimes it's never perfect. The main thing I'm looking for is to not fade out the Facebook icon. It's blue, but it's like a baby blue. It wants to fade out. Now that we have that, there they are. Resize those guys how you need them. I'm sure they could look a lot better. We will. I think I locked them. I have a lot of stuff unlocked here. Makes things a little hard to move. We want these to be on top of the frame, or do we want these down here? We're gonna have them flip up right there. We will line them up. Like so. And even though they're on top of the frame and your layers, they still have that effect of sliding behind the frame. However you want to do it. The better you have it lined up, the better effect you have. Some other tricks you can do is by cutting off just that extra little more of the bottom of the video just to add that sliding off screen effect. But for a quick snap, that's not bad, and that's free. You can move these wherever. You can do this stuff however. You can have some really neat effects when you have things that are at an angle, like the top of this frame is. If you just have it lined up in the right way, and it looks like it slides out from back there. Isn't that kind of a neat little effect? If you stagger them in your video based off of that, they would slide out each one at a time on their own slot. There you go. I did the same thing for my background. I'm at a green screen. This is Citrus Flava, and that is my tip.